All right, YouTube. The video down below is from the David Pakman show, and he's commenting on the recent example of fake news coming from the Weather Channel, out of all places. I stand corrected because I was not under the impression that the weather coverage could be fake. So, anyways, David Pakman comes out and he's saying that, you know, one of the most overused and misused terms in the Trump era is fake news, and this is a real example of fake news. Not when he points out the fact that the Washington Post and New York Times call him out for possibly committing crimes. That's a pretty big double standard there, because first of all, the New York Times is corporate media. The Washington Post is uber corporate media. It's owned by Jeff Bezos, one of the most powerful men in history, most rich men in history as well. Interchangeable, I guess. And the New York Times, I mean, the same people that founded the New York Times were the same people that founded the Federal Reserve and the Anti-Defamation League. So, yes, it always leads back to the Rothschilds. They seem to be in the middle of everything. I would not be surprised if David Pakman is a recipient, donor of, a recipient of donations from George Soros. George Soros is, as you know, a frontman for the Rothschild banking cartel. And David Pakman, I mean, he's really shown his true colors over the years. He's put out a lot of videos in support of Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act, and just what a wonderful thing it is, and how the Republicans are essentially, they're bad people for trying to get rid of it. This is all disguised. It's basically just trying to disguise the fact that he's a proponent for a Marxist healthcare system. And when we decide to let the government take care of our healthcare, then they ultimately get to dictate what healthcare is and what qualifies you for coverage. It's just all it's total bullshit. The Democrats, what they need to do is own up to the fact that if you were to cut taxes and grant people the freedom, the financial freedom to get healthcare in the private sector rather, that they would probably be much better off, because the government getting involved is not going to help anything. And I think deep down David Pakman knows this, but he's got to shill. I mean, he's got like over 500,000 subs, so he's got to put out that propaganda, that leftist propaganda. Anyways, that was a pretty good take. I'm going to end it on that. There was also another video that David Pakman did about Mark Dice, and he had a caller call in who was basically projecting what David Pakman probably really feels. And I'm not really too big of a fan of Mark Dice. I think he's kind of a douche, to be honest. I like the fact that he's exercising his right to free speech, but I just have some problems with him. Anyways, David Pakman has a caller on, and this caller is basically like, "Oh, what should we do about people like Mark Dice and Alex Jones?" And David Pakman's like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And the guy's like, "They're very problematic, and I know technically we can't take them down, but we should take them down." Just kind of that, leaning towards that school of thought, I guess. Obviously trying to advocate for their censorship, which is just total bullshit in my opinion. And I don't know. I just can't really picture the type of person that would sit down and religiously watch David Pakman. I think he's probably just one of these channels that has all these proxy accounts set up to add to the illusion that he's very popular, with the subs, the likes, the views, the comments, etc., etc. I mean, it's all these anonymous, no-content channels that you see commenting here. So, anyways, that's about all for right now. Peace out.